What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you all having a great day so far. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Getting into this episode of GH, so we finally get down to the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of what happened in Afghanistan between Drew and Shiloh all those years ago. So when Drew saved Shiloh, Drew found out some interesting information that Shiloh pretty much sold something to some enemies or whatever, made a huge profit off of it, millions of dollars. So basically Shiloh committed treason and Drew was going to turn his ass in. So we're learning more and more about their past in Afghanistan, and clearly it's not pretty, because even back then when Drew had all of his real memories, he still couldn't stand Shiloh's sneaky ass. And Shiloh was still a shyster back then. All about greed and opportunity and money. That's all he cared about. But he was trying to convince Drew to split the money with him, keep quiet about it, because Drew knew that if he turned Shiloh in, Shiloh could get up to 20 years in prison for treason. He knew it because Shiloh was technically a civilian. So he was going to go down for a long time. That's the reason Shiloh pretty much is so curious about Drew's memories. Because right now, Drew, I knew that those memories would be the key to taking Shiloh down. And Shiloh knows it. Because if Drew were to ever get those memories back, he would remember the whole treason thing, and it could blow Shiloh to hell. Shiloh knows he would go down for 20 years. He know it. So it's in his best interest if Drew doesn't get those memories back. This is why I kept wishing and hoping Drew would get those memories back, because I knew it had to be something in those memories that could take Shiloh down. And this is exactly what everybody needs right now. This is the atomic bomb that everybody needs to finally shut Shiloh down for good. All Drew has to do is do the operation. Don't get me wrong, I understand why Drew doesn't want to do it, but I think he should, because this is probably the only surefire way to finally put a pin in Shiloh's ass for the long haul. Shiloh's still sitting there running his mouth talking about them damn ELQ shares. I'm like, Shiloh, shut up. You barely got $2 in your pocket. You don't even have enough money to pay for beer. How you gonna pay for a lawyer to argue for you in probate court to get those shares? You have no access to those stocks. He doesn't even have money to get a good criminal attorney. Like, you're busted at this point. He's scrambling. He's desperate. He has absolutely nothing. So now he has to figure out how to keep his head above water at this point. The judicial system has him backed up against the wall. Financially, he's backed up against the wall. He has no more walls. You know what I mean? It's like, what else are you supposed to do? He has no more trump cards. He has nothing to blackmail anybody with. He got jack squat. He keeps sitting there all the time talking about, I got everybody's secrets in my head. It doesn't matter. The cops don't deal in that. You can go to the cops right now and say, Jason committed a murder. Sam told me in her pledge. That's not enough to pique the cops' interest. You need something bigger than that, even though that was phony. But still, he has jack. He has bogus information that wouldn't hold up in court. Shiloh knows that his time is running out at this point, so he has to do whatever he has to do to keep his head above water. But what's his next move, nobody really knows. He's desperate. But I do agree with Curtis, though. Like, him telling Drew, don't give Shiloh the reaction that Shiloh wants. Sitting there trying to choke him and grab him. That's the reaction he wants out of you. Don't give it to him. I do agree with that. He shouldn't. Anyway, moving on from that. I really don't know where they're going with this Stella secret relative nonsense. I don't have a clue of where they're going with it. Maybe her long lost relative might be a member of the Ward family. Maybe. I think if that were to happen, I think it would be interesting to, integrate the Ward family back onto GH. I think that could be cool. But I just hope that the payoff to all of this is going to be good. You know what I mean? Like, if not, what's the whole point of giving her another relative? if it's not somebody of importance. It has to be at this point, is what I'm thinking. It better be. So anyway, moving on from that. Alexis. I loved the therapy session with her and Dr. Byrne today. I loved it because he told her something very simple today. Everything is not about her. And I had to applaud him for that. I had to really applaud Neil for that, because that's the problem with Alexis. A lot of times she thinks everything is about her. Everything revolves around her. Like, because she keeps thinking that she passed off her bad men gene to Christina and stuff like that. I'm glad he told her it's not about you. You know, Christina's her own person. She's her own individual. She chose who she chose, and it's not because of who you choose. You know what I mean? I'm glad he told her, like, it's not about you. Everything's not about you. But I could see Alexis having a breakthrough, you know, finally figuring some things out. And Neil is the perfect therapist for her, because he doesn't pull any punches with her. You know, he doesn't hold back. He doesn't bite his tongue. He tells her what she needs to hear instead of what she wants to hear. That's a good therapist. You know what I'm saying? Somebody tells you some hard facts, some hard truths that you're not ready to, you know, face. But you have no choice but to face them, because you're dealing with a therapist who's going to smack you in the face with the truth. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Neil does. He smacks her in the face with honesty in his observations and what she tells him. And that's how he deciphers what's really going on. Alexis, it's like I said before, it's been a long time coming for her to go to therapy. From dealing with her father, her crazy ass stepmother all these years, her crazy siblings, and just other people, the crazy, dangerous men in her life. She's been needing therapy for some decades now. And I'm happy that, yeah, it's years and years late, but better late than never. And she definitely needs the therapy. And she found a good therapist to help her. So anyway, moving on from that. This whole situation with Lulu, I feel bad for Lulu. You know, because she's pissed off, she's resentful towards Dante, because now she feels like she's in a position where he put everything on her shoulders. Not only do she got to take care of these kids and stuff, make decisions for the household and for the family by herself pretty much, she has to also figure out if she wants to contest the divorce or not. And she only has 20 days to do it. And it's a pretty big decision on her part. And Olivia did not make it any better. Listen, I totally understood where Olivia was coming from. She wants to defend her son like any parent would. You know, she wants to see the best in their kid. But I disagreed with a lot of what Olivia was saying. Like her sitting there saying that Dante needed to be home and stuff. That's not going to solve this problem. And see, she has the same mindset that Maxie had of bringing Dante home too soon. He has a lot of treatment that he has to go through before he's able to finally come home. If he comes home now, chances are he's going to get worse. His mental stability will get worse. You know what I mean? He could hurt Lulu. He could hurt Charlotte. He could hurt Rocco. He could hurt himself. You know what I mean? That's what you don't want. You don't want that. You know, I understand she wants her son home because she thinks that him being around family will help him and stuff, but it won't. And I'm glad Sonny was there, because she wanted Sonny to back her up and agree with everything that she was saying. And I'm glad Sonny didn't. You know, only thing Sonny agreed with was that Dante didn't fall out of love with Lulu, which I think we all can agree he didn't. But Sonny was letting Olivia know the truth. Like, this is what's best for Dante. Him filing for divorce, in his mind, he felt that was best because maybe he didn't know when he would be, you know, better. He didn't know when he was coming home. And it's not fair of him to let Lulu, you know, just have her life in limbo, not knowing when her husband is coming home. You know, basically being in a marriage all by herself. You know, it wasn't fair to her. It's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to anybody. So I think that's why part of the reason he made the decision to file for the divorce. He didn't know when he was coming home. It could be 6 months from now. It could be a year from now. Hell, it could be 20 years from now. He don't know. So it's not fair to put everybody else's life in, a standstill when he's not certain when he's coming home. So I'm glad Sonny let her know. Like, he did what was best for him, what was best for the family. What he felt was best. And maybe Lulu is resentful of him now because of the decision that he made. Maybe, but in time she'll understand it. She's not happy about it, which is understandable, but hopefully she'll get it. And, I'm glad Sonny let Olivia know, like, he's not only cutting himself off from Lulu and the kids, he's cutting himself off from Sonny and Olivia as well, and the rest of the family, because he feels like that's what he needs right now. He just doesn't need any distractions right now. This treatment obviously is extensive, and he needs to weather the storm, however long it's going to take. Like I said, I feel bad for Olivia. I don't agree with a lot of what she said, but I understand where she's coming from, because you got to remember, Dante is her eldest child, and he was her only child for a long time before she had Leo. So I can understand why she's upset and she wants her son home. I totally get it, but she has to understand, like, he got to do what he got to do for him. He's an adult. You can't coddle him. But I am glad that Lulu has that support system. I just didn't like how Olivia was basically trying to, emotionally blackmail her into staying into that in that marriage. I have to agree with Laura. Lulu has to make the decision for herself. She has to, do what she feels is right. And if she wants to contest it, hey, she'll contest it. If not, I totally understand if she don't. I get it. She got to think about her. She got to think about the kids, what's best for all of them, and do what she got to do. Nina was getting on my nerves today, per usual. Like, her and Valentine are so deluded. Like, they keep saying, oh, he killed Nicholas in self-defense. First of all, jackass, you held a room full of people hostage. In my opinion, Nicholas attacking Valentine was self-defense on Nicholas's part. Valentine had a gun pointed at him and Ava in a room full of other people. That was self-defense. So this whole self-defense thing is stupid. And it pissed me off that Nina sat there talking about the only person that's delusional about Nicholas's death is Laura. Laura's far from delusional. If anybody's delusional, it's Nina's stupid behind. You sitting here believing everything Valentine tell you like it's gospel. Like, she'll believe everything he tell her, because she's a fool, and that's what fools do. And she's not subtle at all. Like, the way she was bringing up Cassandra Pierce and stuff like that. Like, Valentine was looking at her like, can you please be quiet? He was looking at Nina like, shut up. Like, why are you telling him about this? Like, don't you know the more hints and clues that you drop, the more Jax is going to figure out that you're snooping around and you know some things. You know what I'm saying? He's going to figure something. Because she's not subtle. She's as subtle as a freight train at this point. I know Maxie was concerned about how the public was going to view Ava's story and, her interview and stuff. But I agree with Jax and Nina on that. At the end of the day, Ava signed a contract which gave total creative control to Crimson. You know what I'm saying? So whatever questions they ask that may not favor Ava, that's on Ava. She should have never signed that contract. She should have took control of the narrative and controlled the questions that were being asked. So that way it'll show her in a much more positive light than what they're trying to do. They're trying to show her out to be this vain, vindictive, selfish woman. A murderer and stuff like that. But Nina sitting there singing Ava's praises. Well, not really singing her praises, but trying to explain to Jax why she didn't ask tougher questions. And that's what Jax was pissed about. Because he was like, how come you didn't ask her tougher questions? I think the reason she didn't ask was because she know that if she start asking tougher questions, some of those answers would lead back to Nina and her shenanigans. Because remember, when Nina first came to town, she was hell-bent on revenge. And she basically snatched Avery out of Ava's womb and induced her labor and stuff. So that tidbit of information could come out. And that's the last thing Nina wants, is for the public to read about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the general public already knows that information, but if that were to come out and stuff, it would look bad on Nina and Crimson. So of course Nina's trying to be careful as to what questions she asks, so that way her name doesn't pop up in it. You know what I'm saying? Because if her name pops up in it, she doesn't want to, look bad in the public, and then, the backlash alone could get her fired. But I just felt like Ava should have definitely controlled the narrative. She should have signed a better contract. I'm just saying. Like, that would have been her best bet. Jax and Valentine, they might as well go ahead and fight. Because every time Jax and Valentine are around each other, it just seems like they want to beat the hell out of each other. They might as well get on with it. So anyway, that was pretty much the whole episode. Hit the comment section and let me know what y'all thought about today's episode. I will see y'all all later. Have a great day. Peace.